When I was a kid, I was always picked last for teams. When we would play games at recess like dodgeball, kickball, and tag, the team captains would always pick me last. And why is that? Because even though I'm 6'1" and I was always one of the tallest kids in my class, I was also very uncoordinated and horrible at sports. Surprisingly, sports have come to play an important role in my life and career as a writer and filmmaker. Interestingly enough, I made a sports documentary called Lady Wrestler about the brave black women who integrated professional wrestling in the 1950s. And I must confess, when I first came across this really intriguing story, what drew me in was not so much the sports angle, but the Black history angle, the women's history angle, and the history of my hometown, Columbus, Ohio, which was the epicenter of women's wrestling during the golden age of the sport in the 1950s, going back to the 1930s. In addition to making the wrestling documentary, another way that sports has played a major role in my life and career as an adult is that at a relatively young age, in my 20s, I learned about exercise physiology. Now, when I was in middle and high school, I hated gym class, again, because I was so uncoordinated, but also because gym class was just about learning sports. Like one week we play baseball, then the next week we play basketball. And I remember once when we were playing basketball, I not only ran the wrong way down the court, but someone passed me the ball and it hit me in the head, and the entire class broke up laughing. But as an adult, I learned about how to exercise. I learned the benefits of strength training and cardio and flexibility exercises like yoga and just plain stretching. And I enjoyed doing those kinds of solo workout activities because they're solo. You can do them by yourself and you don't have to be part of a team, and you only have to compete with yourself. Going for a run or taking a long walk not only gets my blood pumping, it gets my creative energy flowing. I've had some of my best creative ideas when I was running at a local park or biking around my community. And it's not lost on me the irony that I'm so active as an adult since I was such a big loser as a child when it came to sports. And one thing I certainly never thought I would do, something that never even crossed my mind, is learning to ski. Now, when I was in high school at Eastmore High School in Columbus, the school actually had a ski team, and I would see flyers for ski trips around the school in wintertime. I didn't know anybody who belonged to the ski team, and it just never interested me. But as an adult, when I was working as a newspaper reporter, a good friend and colleague of mine suggested that we take advantage of the media day that a local ski resort was offering, in which they gave free ski lessons. I was in my 30s at the time, and I had no interest in skiing, had never been on a pair of skis. I don't think I had even watched winter sports on TV. But I found that after taking these classes at the local ski resort, I found that I actually like skiing. And ever since then, I go back to that local ski resort and I ski once every winter. Only once, because skiing is a relatively expensive sport. Now, I can't say that I'm like an Olympic level skier, but I'm pretty good at it. I'm actually pretty good at keeping my balance, and I've only fallen a few times. I love the sensation of zooming down a hill on my skis, although it's usually the bunny slopes. And skiing is not only enjoyable from a physical standpoint, I've found as a shy person who's often pretty reticent and hesitant that skiing helps me release my inhibitions and let go of fear and panic. As with all sports, there's an emotional component to skiing. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you'll keep your balance and you won't fall. It's totally a mindset thing. Skiing is a metaphor for life, especially those of us who are pursuing careers and endeavors in the arts. As creatives, it's easy to lose our balance and to fall. If you send the manuscript of a book you've written to a publisher or to an agent, or you submit an independent film or a script you've written for a movie to a film festival, it might get rejected, and you might stop believing in yourself and think you don't have what it takes and be tempted to quit. Sports teaches you that when you fall, you have to get back up. And as I said, I have fallen a few times when skiing, but you have to get back up and keep going down the mountain, or otherwise you'll be stuck. You'll literally be stuck where you are. When I went on my annual ski trip this January, something awkward happened. No, I didn't fall this time. Let me explain. It was a picture-perfect day for skiing. It was a Sunday, it was snowy and sunny and not too cold. And because it was a weekend, the ski resort was just crowded. It was just jammed with people. And in fact, I had trouble finding a parking space. And because it was so crowded, when I got in line for the ski lift, there was just gaggles of people everywhere, and it was hard to tell where the line began. So I just sort of made my way into the line, which is not the easiest thing to do on skis. I mean, it's not like you're walking up to the line. You're literally like kind of scooting on your skis toward the line to the ski lift. And I found that as I stood in line, I realized, oh, I'm in the wrong line. I was there by myself, but I ended up in the line for doubles, people who were there skiing together. But I figured I would just stay in the doubles line because it was too complicated to try to make my way over to the singles line. And I figured that when I got to the front of the line, that a ski resort employee would simply tell me to hop on a ski lift with a couple of other people because the ski lifts can hold up to 3 people. But what happened instead was that someone in the doubles line turned to me and said, "Oh, why are you here? You should be in the singles line." Now, my first reaction was to snap back,
Who are you, the police of the skiing line?
but instead I just calmly made my way over to the singles line, which, as I said, was not easy because I had to cut through this gaggle of people and maneuver my way on skis, which is awkward in itself. I had been standing in line for like 10 or 15 minutes by this point because I was listening to music while I was in line, and I had listened to at least 3 songs, and songs are like maybe 3 to 5 minutes each. So I was in line for a good amount of time. And then when I got over to the singles line, once again, it was just a big jumble of people. So there was this woman standing in the line, and I said, "Do you mind if I get in front of you?" And she said yes, but actually the look on her face just reflected like total shock that she couldn't believe that I asked to cut in front of her in line. When actually I wasn't cutting in front of her in line because most likely I had been standing in line longer than she had. I had just been in the doubles line instead of the singles line. Now, when I was in the doubles line, because it was just kind of chaotic and people were just making their way in wherever they could, there were people who made their way in front of me. They sort of cut in front of me, not in a rude kind of way, but just because there was confusion. And as I said, it was hard to tell where the line began. But I didn't start an argument with those people or say, "Hey, get behind me." But I could just tell by this lady's face, even though she said yes when I asked her if I could get in front of her, I could just tell from her facial expression and her body language that she was offended. So instead, I just said, "Never mind, I'll go to the back of the line," and proceeded to do so. Now, while that incident that happened with me skiing may seem like it has nothing to do with the arts, that's actually a metaphor for writing and filmmaking. So, for example, say you're directing a play or a movie, and you give an actor a note on the way they're delivering their lines, and you ask them to try it a different way. They may say okay, but if you're really perceptive, you can tell sometimes, especially working with actors who are sensitive, that they don't want to do it your way, that they want to keep doing it their way. And so you may have to be diplomatic. You have to be able to read people's body language and see that, oh, I need to explain better, maybe pull them aside so it's not in front of everyone and it's not embarrassing, why I'm asking them to interpret this scene in a different way. Or maybe you even have to try to go ahead and let them do it their way a couple of times and then ask them maybe in a different roundabout kind of way, "Hey, let's try it a different way." Or maybe you've written a book or a movie script and you ask a friend to kind of read it and give you feedback. And the feedback that they give you is, "Oh, it's okay. It's perfectly fine." But you can kind of tell reading between the lines, no pun intended, that they think there are issues with your script that you need to fix or tweak, but they don't want to hurt your feelings by doing so. Being able to pick up on unspoken cues and being able to work with people when they're not giving you what you ask for and learning how to maybe go about it in a different way and still be diplomatic is a really valuable skill, not only as a creative, but pretty much in any given industry. Those are just a few examples of how we creatives can learn from the wide world of sports. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please leave a comment, share it, and subscribe to my channel.